Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studio in New York City, here is Steve Malzberg.
As men and women age, men are tired of the race. I mean, they've been running it since their late teens. They're exhausted. All they want to do is take a deep breath. They want to retire. They want to play golf. They want to, just enjoy life. And women are raring to go because they feel like they've fulfilled their responsibilities. Their kids are out on their own. It's now time for them to show what they can do. There's an army of women and frankly a very large group of older women who could make a real difference to America's corporations, businesses, academia, politics, you name it.
And who's the leader of that group? Hillary Clinton, I'm sure, in her mind. Welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. And joining us in studio is Sabrina Schaeffer, Executive Director of the Independent Women's Forum and Forbes.com contributor. Hello. Thank you for stopping by. Appreciate it. All right. So first of all, that statement really struck me when she made it. Now you're a mom of three, and you're working, obviously, doing a whole lot of things. But I didn't know that we live in a world where women do nothing until they reach a certain age when the kids are out of school, and then they want to get out there while the men just sit there with unbuckle their belt and sit and drink some beer. That's the world Hillary's describing. I'm shocked.
I know, it was a little bit stereotypical of men. I felt kind of bad.
Well, and she said men. She didn't say some. It was like all men.
Yeah. I actually, it sort of felt that she was onto something, though. That women, especially very often, we talk about women having one or the other. You're either home or you're in the workplace. When really there's sort of a tapestry that you create over a lifetime, right? So you might be home for some years. You might work part-time, full-time, and then maybe even when you're older, you decide, hey, now is the time I can really make an impression in the workplace. So there's some positive there. I don't want to be too unfair.
But it was self-serving.
Self-serving.
To be kind, I guess.
It might be right now that she's going to be a grandma and she also can run for president.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Now, the Republican problem. I've been told by some that no matter what Hillary says, no matter how she's found culpable on Benghazi, even no matter what, if she runs, women want her. Even across, independent women, some Republican women, they just want a woman. And to me, that's the worst reason to vote for somebody. Do you believe that she has a clear path if she wins the Democratic nomination because she's a woman and it's time?
I don't think she has a clear path because she's a woman and it's time. I think she might have a clear path because there is a tremendous amount of power in the women's organizations on the left, and that they will do a lot to ensure that she makes it to the White House. But I don't think that all women are going to be fooled by this. Of course, I think that I can agree with Hillary Clinton from time to time on work-life balance issues, but on the basics, on things like workplace regulations, like the Paycheck Fairness Act, or on Benghazi, or on climate change, there's all sorts of issues where we have some real differences.
Absolutely. But a recent Wall Street Journal NBC News poll found 46% of women ages 18 to 49 feel positive towards the president. 52% of these women say they would favor Democrats this fall over Republicans. Unmarried female voters favored the president by 36 points in 2012. This is a problem because they've painted this picture of a war on women based on the comments of one person, based on the actions of one person, based on nothing, based on the fact that they don't want, some Republicans don't favor free contraception for women, even the so-called abortion pill. And the Republicans, in my view, have allowed this picture to be painted and to go unchallenged almost. They run away from it.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what's going on. The word allow is perfect. We're going to be up to 2 years since the 2012 election, and really not a whole lot has changed, right? And we need to be having a conversation with women every day. We need to be out there saying, hey, we understand what you're balancing every day. We realize that there's a really positive story for women and girls today, but there also are a lot of women who face a lot of economic challenges right now. And the policies that we set in Washington aren't helping them, right? A top-down government-run healthcare system, that's not helping you with job lock, right? Not owning your healthcare dollars, that's serious. The minimum wage debate is a distraction. There's going to be a lot of job losses as a result of hiking the minimum wage.
And every state could hike their own minimum wage if they want to.
They sure can. But Republicans can't always be running away from the topic. They have to embrace it. They have to say, you know what, we're not so different. We're not so foreign to women.
All right. Well, absolutely right. But I think they run away for instance, if they made clear what the left's stance on abortion is, what Obama voted present on in the Illinois state legislature, and how they basically favor abortion on demand. It's not what the public favors.
If they say the wrong thing, it'll be caught on camera, and that'll be the end of them. We certainly saw this in the election in Virginia for governor. There was just, Terry McAuliffe just threw one thing after another, and for Cuccinelli, someone I really like, but someone who stands for school choice, for private property rights, for health care,
he was tagged by the media.
Just tagged, and he just didn't respond. So I think one thing that we can really take away from this is that right now the conversation is entirely one-sided. It is coming from the progressive side, and that's all women hear. So in order to have an influence, we have to have a two-sided conversation.
Look at the workforce. Women under Obama's policies, there were less women in the workforce. They're suffering economically, and this phony issue. I'd love to hear your take on this phony issue. An issue, this 77 cents on the dollar, which Obama brought up again yesterday in the minimum wage speech he gave. Hey, you're only paying 88 cents on the dollar. And he says, well, wait, there's a lot of circumstances that go into that. Well, that deletes the whole argument Obama uses because it's a non-issue.
Right.
But he's still out there saying it.
He is. And even though during, on Equal Pay Day, the White House itself admitted that maybe it's not quite
right. That's what I mean.
Yeah, and
there are mitigating circumstances that affect that statistic.
Exactly.
But if those circumstances exist for the White House to pay less, then that's the reason everybody is in that same statistic.
Right. And it's such a bad message to tell women that society and the workplaces is openly hostile, antagonistic to women, right? But we all know why the wage gap exists. First of all, it's not 23 cents. It's probably more like 4, 5, 6 cents,
and it's because of majors that are taken at college. It's because of professions chosen. It's because of leaving the workforce to have a family, coming back in. A lot of factors.
And because people like myself, I never negotiated a wage. I never asked for a higher dollar amount. And that's something that actually I have control over. And there is a multi-million-dollar industry of organizations and books and seminars and videos all dedicated towards teaching me that. So I'm going to pick one up this weekend.
Wendy Davis, you talk about a female icon. She was applauded by the media because she filibustered in Texas against an abortion bill. Right. Ted Cruz, also from Texas, in the U.S. Senate, filibustered for a different reason. He was the devil. She was the saint. And now, and I'm glad about this, she's fallen apart. I mean, she misrepresented, according to many, her resume and her life circumstances and how she got to where she is. Her campaign spokesman just resigned. The polls show she's really trailing bad. Terrible things by her campaign said about her opponent. And it's like now she doesn't exist in the eyes of the media.
I know, it's interesting, and it's I'm sure a big blow to some of the women's groups on the left that have really been standing up for her. The reality is that we are in serious economic times right now, and people need to hear a message that is positive and constructive, right? And I think all of this debate over her lifestyle choices with her children and
who paid for her husband paid for her college, and then she allegedly left him right after that. All this stuff.
There's a reason that people hate lawmakers, right? That they hate Congress, and this is it.
All right, so your advice. Here's John Boehner sitting right over there. He's watching. What does Sabrina tell John Boehner and the next Republican presidential candidate how to combat this perceived, Republicans hate women, whatever that even means?
Start by talking to them and then have a clear plan of the things that you want to talk about. You need to explain what the challenges are to women today. Of course, we can sympathize with challenges, but we have to explain why government is not the answer and why you want to give women more flexibility in their lifestyle, whether it's in healthcare, whether it's in the workplace, whether it's in education. These are the things that matter to women and to moms. And we got to start by actually taking a note. We can't I don't want to be invited to one more cocktail reception about how we're going to start talking to women. Yeah. The reality is the challenge is here, and it is right now.
All right, but I can't remember who it was and where it came up, but somebody said something. I think it was Huckabee or whatever. But remember when Hillary ran for the U.S. Senate and there was a debate with Rick Lazio, her Republican opponent, and he walked across the stage to said, "Would you sign this?" And he invaded the space of a woman.
Yes.
And Hillary's already talking about how women are treated differently. I mean, is that going to be a theme? If Hillary's the nominee, are the Republicans going to have to tread lightly or treat her differently? or be accused of gender bias the way they're accused of being racist if they don't agree with Obama.
Right. I mean, it's a real possibility, of course. And I do think that there are unique challenges for women running for public office, but that doesn't mean that we should have to not skirt around the issues. If we're talking about Benghazi, we should talk about right. That was a good one. I didn't even realize. Yeah.
My
if we're going to talk about Benghazi, we need to talk about educational freedom. We need to talk about things like the Paycheck Fairness Act and why it would be a disaster, and we shouldn't have to feel like we're scared to do so.
So you think that Republicans could make inroads into the disparity in the previous election results?
Yeah, let's remember that in 2010 they did make inroads for the first time in 20 years, which is what set this whole war on women in motion. The problem is they have to now continue that conversation. They say we have a good story to tell about women, we have good policies to propose.
I think they'll make inroads in the midterms. Then, of course, the question is in the general election. Especially if it's Hillary, it's going to be very interesting. And of course, any conservative woman that comes forward is not really a woman, just like any black conservative is not really black, and any Hispanic is not really Hispanic, and it's a sickness out there. Sabrina Schaeffer, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me today.
Director of the Independent Women's Forum, and of course contributor to Forbes.com. When we come back, it is Friday. It is the final hour of the week, and that means it's the final Gimme 5. You're not going to want to miss it. Next on the Steve Malzberg Show. Great seeing you. Thank you. Yeah, it was.